Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the After the Frame podcast. My name is Malik, and I am joined, as always, by...
Hi, I'm Matt.
And on this episode, we are doing double duty. We are doing our predictions and categories for the upcoming year in 2026. And at the end, we will be going over our review for the movie... What is it? Primate. I couldn't remember the name of it. But yeah, as we get into 2026, in our last episode, we did everything wrapping up 2025. We're obviously both very, very excited for what's to come in this new year. Anything in particular you want to say about any of the movies or shows that are coming out before we get into our categories and predictions for the year?
Yeah, I am excited based on what's coming out. I've already seen a handful of things that have released this year. Some things were good, some things were mid, and some things were just not good. But
Another
I am
Electric State, maybe?
not to that degree yet, but I mean, there are two real heavy hitters that I'm excited for, and we'll get to those.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. So yeah, we can jump right into our first activity. If you want to take it away, we can jump right in.
Yeah, works for me. So we wanted to touch on over-unders, just kind of, throw a friendly wager on where we think entertainment predictions for 2026 will lie. So the first one that I have here is setting a line for the number of billion-dollar movies. I set the line at over-under 2.5.
Okay, I think over, seeing as how last year had a couple more surprise ones. Off the top of my head, I think Doomsday is going to make $1 trillion, even though it probably doesn't
$1
deserve
trillion?
to. Yeah, why not? Everybody in the world will go and see it like 5 times. But yeah, that movie's going to make a shit ton of money, probably pass $1 billion. I think Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to pass $1 billion. Odyssey, as well as Moana, even though I don't think that some of them deserve the $1 billion. But what happened last year with Lilo and Stitch? So I'm going to go with over on that one.
I agree with you. Next
I'm
one
writing
we've
down
got here.
mine so we can revisit it at the end of this year.
Okay. So the next one is tailored specifically to the superhero genre. Rotten Tomatoes is a widely used metric in terms of evaluating film performance. When it comes to superhero film, Rotten Tomatoes average score, I set the line at a 72.
Okay, for the superhero movies this year, I'm going to also go over on that. Think, if I can remember correctly, there's 4 technically superhero movies. I'm not sure if you're also including Clayface, seeing as how it's like a villain.
I am including that as it's like a comic book.
It's still comic book.
Yeah.
So then off the top of my head, there's 4 if I can remember. Think that Spider-Man, Avengers, Supergirl, and Clayface should be like in the 80s at the very least for Rotten Tomatoes. So I'll say over again.
I agree. Hope me saying that is not, us saying that is not being like an optimistic and, I think 72 is a very fair line because it would not shock me if one of those, primarily on the DC end, is a little bit more controversial. I think Supergirl will probably appease a lot of audiences based on how Superman was. I do wonder how Clayface is going to fare. And we really haven't seen much of it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'd love to say, same thing with Spider-Man. Like, you hear all the rumors and everything like that, but I haven't seen teasers for that or anything, the rumors of Sydney Sweeney, Sadie Sink.
Being in it. Who she's playing, yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know, but yeah, I'm going to go over. I'm hopeful for all the superhero movies this year. I think they'll be all pretty good and enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see.
Shifting gears to the TV realm for a minute. This category is taking a look at streaming. We see all these streaming services, Netflix, Max, Prime, everything. They all come out with these original shows, and a lot of them don't fare so well. So we're looking exclusively at streaming cancellations. I'm thinking of high publicity shows because there's a lot of under the radar ones that might slip through the cracks. I'm looking at over under 6.5.
So here's what's interesting with this one for me. I'm not huge into TV shows. I'll watch the ones I'm already into if they release a new season. But the newer stuff, I tend to not even know it happens. So I don't even know of a lot of TV shows from 2025 that had cancellations because, as I said, I just watched the season 2s or 3s, whatever, of the ones I'm used to watching.
Mhm.
And either they came to finales or they're just going to have more seasons going forward. So maybe it's a bit foolish of me. I'm going to go under, but that's literally because I don't know how many from last year or have any data to back it up. So I'll say under for that one to switch things up.
I will switch things up and go over once again. I mean, I could get cooked for this take, but we'll see. I would not be shocked if one of the big like streaming platforms tries to like take a I don't want to say backseat, but kind of backpedal what they are working on a little bit.
Hmm.
Apple has already kind of started to do it a lot. Like they would pump lots and lots of money into these high volume shows, but they wouldn't market them, and then they'd cancel them because they're like, nobody watched them. But it's also their own fault, and they didn't market them. So I wouldn't be shocked to see some of that continue, but I do think there may be one or two kind of like heavy hitters that I would not be shocked to see canceled.
As long as they don't cancel Shrinking, because I love that show.
Shrinking is a good show.
And it's coming out next week by the time that we're recording this. It's
Oh,
coming out
yeah.
next Wednesday, the third season.
The last one is sequels outperforming the originals. Um, this one I believe is also kind of like on a gauge scale of how many nostalgia sequels are going to come out in the calendar year 2026 as compared to the originals. I set the line at over under 60%.
Okay. So we're doing outperforming in like Rotten Tomatoes scores, or what do you mean by percentage there? Or money made, or
I'm kind of thinking just better film. Like, what are the like of all the sequels coming out in 2026 that are sequels to an original film from way back, of those movies, what percentage of those are better than the original movie? I guess based on opinion or box office or critic score, I mean whatever metric you want to quantify that as.
okay.
Think like in my opinion, I'll use Empire Strikes Back. How many Empire Strikes Backs are we gonna get compared to the original?
Okay, if it's going based off of my own opinion, I'm gonna go under easily. I think, as I said, we'll get into it, but from the sequels, from what I can recall, we've got. I don't know if you're also considering like remakes aren't technically sequels, but you can
Mm-mm.
compare them to their like the Moana to the OG Moana thing, or but. There's quite a few sequels coming out this year. You got like Scream 7 now and Toy Story 5 and all of that stuff. So I don't think any of them are gonna even come close to me of the OG ones. Same thing with Doomsday. I'm sure it's not going to be as good as Infinity War to me, but I don't think that Spider-Man is going to be the best of the Tom Holland movies, but I could be wrong. So we'll see. I'm going to go under on that one for me.
I am also going under. I will touch more on that later.
Perfect. So were those all the over-unders you had?
They are. Yep.
All right, cool. So we can move right along. We'll revisit this. I mean, like how we just had our episode recapping everything for 2025. We'll be doing the same thing at the end of this year, where we'll now be throwing in our predictions and stuff like that and look back and see the wacky stuff we were saying a year before. And
Get cooked for
so
it.
yeah, exactly. Which leads us very nicely into our next segment, prediction law. So this is just going to be one take, a sentence, whatever you want to say going forward for entertainment this year. Could be predicting a box office, could be predicting a flop, whatever. Prediction lock that you just want to hold fast on for the year, and you might be eating crow come the end of the year when we revisit it. So what was yours?
So mine, I can know I'm already going to get some heat just for saying this now. I think at least one of the big two December releases in Avengers Doomsday and Dune Messiah, Dune Part 3, whatever you want to call it, I think they will underwhelm. One of those two will underwhelm the internet on opening weekend, whether that's box office, whether that's, one of those geared towards the box office might be less likely than the other. But, critical perception, like some people may have expectations out the roof for both of these. And I would not be shocked to see if one of them is disappointing compared to expectations. We'll see
Okay.
which one it is.
That's an interesting take. I never even would have thought of that. I mean, I know that I know Robert Downey Jr. is trying to turn it into the whole Doomsday. I've seen him like
I
saying that
mean,
they're trying to
hey,
do another
I'm
Barbieheimer.
I'm all for it.
Um, yeah, I mean, Doomsday is going to be like 3.5 hours. Dune is probably going to be 2.5 hours. So if you have the time in the day to watch all of it, go ahead. My prediction lock is still superhero based. It is Spider-Man Brand New Day will be a better film than Avengers Doomsday.
That's a good
And
one.
I feel even though we have seen very little about Spider-Man, like we've not seen a teaser, we haven't been getting those little whatever you want to call them clues like the Russos have been saying, and this movie comes out few months before Avengers. I just think because it seems that they're trying to have a more grounded Spider-Man, which is what a lot of Spider-Man fans want to see.
I want that.
Yeah, and especially it'll be refreshing, even though everybody loved No Way Home, it'll be refreshing to kind of just have it be more. I would love for Tom Holland to just be a single Spider-Man in a movie. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it'll ever happen because in his first one, obviously Iron Man was there. The second one, you had like Nick Fury being in there. And then obviously the third one, everybody was in it. So this one now is going to have the Punisher. I hear the Hulk is going to be in it, probably a Daredevil, and then whoever the hell Sadie Sink is playing. But unfortunately, we still won't be able to see him just carry a movie on his own, which is a shame. But I still think, just based on the stuff that we've heard, it sounds like it's going to be a little bit more put together than the mess that I think Doomsday will be. So that's going to be my prediction.
Interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'm a Doomsday apologist at the end of the year, and I think it's absolute cinema. We'll see. Yeah. So we move on to our next category.
Yeah, I mean, talking about franchises and the MCU is one of many. This next topic is whether we're fading or buying. Whether, there's a franchise you're fading versus betting on in 2026.
Yeah. You want to kick us off, or you want me to say mine?
Yeah, so my buy is think it my personal buy is I think Dune will be more of the serious blockbuster than Doomsday. Doomsday, I think there's just too much going on. And I will see it. I have been a fan of the MCU since its conception, but the Dune films have just been an absolute pinnacle. I know they're not everybody's favorite. Um they hold a special place in my heart. I think Dune Part 2 was robbed of Best Picture in 2024.
Who won that?
Honora with what's her name? Mikey
Mikey
Madison?
Madison. Yeah. Yeah, I
It was
agree.
it was a
Many
good
other
movie.
things are better were better than Anora that year. I remember. That's
Yeah.
why I didn't remember it because it's yeah.
Like I thought Honora was fantastic, but I thought Dune 2 with the performances, the cinematography, all of that was
Top notch.
so top notch. Yeah. I have such high expectations for Dune Messiah. Honestly, probably greater than I do Doomsday cuz I like all of the nostalgia is going to creep back in with Doomsday. Like, oh, they're bringing in Doctor Doom. The X-Men are coming in. My fear is that they're going to try and do too much. And I think, this Dune film, like the director has said, this is it for him. If more people want to make movies in the franchise, because there's more books and things, and the books are great, but he's gone on record saying this is his last film in the trilogy, and like, yeah, what we've gotten so far has been tremendous. Switching gears to what I'm fading, I kind of touched on it as we talked about sequels. I am fading not a particular franchise, but a particular genre. And I think I have to fade any legacy comedy sequel. And my main dig at this bucket is it came to my mind because of Happy Gilmore 2. Thoroughly enjoyed the original. I could not stand the second one. The fall off was massive. And I'm afraid more people are gonna see what became of Happy Gilmore 2 and be like, "Oh yeah, this is great." A ton of people watched it. It got a lot of buzz, and people are gonna try and replicate that formula with whatever legacy comedy sequel that they want to come out with. I don't think it comes out in 26, but I think in 27. Spaceballs 2 is coming
Yeah.
out. And like I enjoyed the first one. I'm afraid of what they're gonna do with the second one. Like they're gonna turn it into a joke, more of a joke than it already was. And that comedy legacy sequel bucket, I'm just no thanks.
That's very fair. For me, I'm going to do my fade first. Fade Toy Story 5. I don't think that they should have made 4. So the fact that now I see that even though they stretch the story and then Woody goes off on his own in 4, then I see he's just back again in 5. It's like they just aren't even. It's like the Duffer Brothers. It's like they're not even watching their own stuff. They're just like, ah, we'll just put it
Yeah.
out, and yeah, they got to stop. I know. Again, sure, that movie will make $1 billion because
It
whatever.
well, yeah, and, I agree with you. Like, I don't think 4 should have been made. 3 was an excellent film.
Great.
It's an
Top
all-timer.
3. Yeah, top 3
Yeah,
Pixar movies in my opinion.
I agree. But yeah, 4 did end on a good note, but, like, I don't think 4 was necessary. 3 ended on a better note. And yeah, the concept of 5, although we haven't seen really anything about it, yeah, I don't think 5 was necessary. So,
Yeah, no, getting carried away. And for me, by the DCU, baby. Everything that the DCU is putting out, Supergirl, very excited for. Clayface, honestly, I'm a little bit more excited for just because I think it's going to be so much more out there. Quick side note, quick anecdote about how invested I am in the DCU. I had a dream, or you can call it a nightmare, the other night where we were a year into, like, next year, 2027, we're doing a podcast reviewing Man of Tomorrow. Everybody knows Man of Tomorrow is coming out next year. They already announced it. And we watched it, and James Gunn just did a complete 180 and brought back Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman in the movie, and Ezra Miller flashes in it, and we were all so disappointed. So I was like, I woke up like in a cold sweat, and I was like, oh, oh. So I really am invested in the DCU and hoping and praying that it does well. So that we don't have, Gal Gadot and those people back. So yeah, that's my buy. I'm very much looking forward to whatever James Gunn's got cooking.
yeah, I can get on board with that.
Alrighty, next one we got what is it? The Oscar long shot. So mine is quick and simple. I've only seen like one trailer for it. It's Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling coming out in March. It kind of has the makings of a little bit of a comedy from what you can tell, and I know usually the Oscars doesn't like it, but from what I can see, since it's set in space a lot, the cinematography looks great. Everything looks great in the movie, and I mean Ryan Gosling is a Oscar nominated actor, so I don't know. It seems like it has all the pieces of like one of those movies you're going to want to see in IMAX, the biggest screen you can, and can sneakily just be one of those kind of like a Sinners. I don't want to say it's going to be as good, but like one of those that you're not like really expecting to do that well, and then come award time, that's the one I'm pushing for.
I like that pick. So I'm gonna be honest here. I couldn't nail down a single film.
Okay.
I kind of cast a wide net and we'll see kind of which one it turns out to be. But I'm fully expecting this smaller, weirder film to just swing for the fences and become this film Twitter masterpiece. Like a neon A24 movie, like festival wild card that is just going to blow people away. I don't know. And it's probably going to be something that comes out mid year and blows everybody away. But I don't know what that would look like yet. So I'm thinking it's kind of that, something that fall in that bucket is going to get a lot of buzz.
Okay. Maybe another go around for The Rock, for Jumanji 4, like you were saying last year. You were so bummed that he didn't win any awards for Smashing Machine. So, here's hoping. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on again. We got our top 5 most anticipated movies of 2026. My list is going to be very controversial, and it has a very, very clear theme through it, but I will
Oh
allow
boy.
you to go
Okay.
first.
So my top 5 in a somewhat particular order. Dune Messiah at number 1.
Okay.
Avengers Doomsday at number 2. I was gonna have Spider-Man on here. I actually don't have it on here because I don't know enough yet, and I'm afraid of what that could be. So I need to see more, and then it might bump its way on here. Number 3, surprisingly enough, the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
Okay.
Those games were like my childhood, so I'm curious to see how they'll adapt it. And then I did have one on here that I'm actually gonna have to kind of redact because I already saw it.
Was it Primate?
No, uh, 28 years later, The Bone Temple.
Okay.
The original narrowly missed my top 10 in 2025. If you missed that, go check that episode out. But it was definitely in the top 15. It was very close. I won't give too much away about it, but in my humble opinion, the second one, The Bone Temple, is a better film than 28 Years Later itself. So that's on here. And then, yeah, lastly is just going to be anything that A24 neon indie films. I've over the past couple years, I've tried getting more of those. There's going to be this Marty Supreme. There's going to be another, you know, I hope not a Smashing Machine type, but something, some up and coming director or underrated, low budget type performance that doesn't, it's no Warner Brothers, it's no Universal type funded film. Yeah, I wish I had a little bit more specifics. Unfortunately, a lot of the movies that I am anticipated for have been delayed, and it's frustrating.
You hate to see that.
Like I was gonna shout like honorable mentions of what should have come out this year. The Batman Part 2, Beyond the Spider-Verse. Like, are we ever gonna get those movies? Like, come
I think
on.
next year we're getting Batman. I think both Superman, like Man of Tomorrow and Batman, start filming in April, is the report I heard.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as long as we get like if that comes out and Shamik Moore can get his act together over Haley Steinfeld, then maybe we'll get Beyond the Spider-Verse.
We're gonna
But
see a different side of Miles in that movie.
oh
But
my
I think
god.
that I mean, we should have done an over under. I mean, even though it has nothing to do with this year, but I've gone out and said that I think that that movie, if they knock it out of the park with the third one, could be like the best trilogy in like cinema. Like it's so good.
Yeah.
It's up there. It's in conversation, even though it's a animated Spider-Man trilogy. But it's
Yeah,
it's
no,
really
like
good.
I think those two Spider-Man movies are better than any of the Spider-Man movies that have ever been put out. Like it's the bar is cleared.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that. All right, for me, I wanted to say my honorable mentions. The Bride with Christian Bale, that's coming out, I believe, next month. It just seems interesting to me. Scary Movie 6, the Wayans brothers are finally back after the last movie they did was Scary Movie 2. Then different people took it for 3 and 4, and then 5 was even more different. So now they're actually back with the original cast. So I'm excited to see. We've had so many different horror movies that have come out. Can't wait to see how they make fun of, weapons and Aunt Gladys and whatnot. So it should be pretty fun. The Odyssey is another one that like it's just become so like, it's Christopher Nolan, it's gonna be a good movie. So I'm just have more movies that I'm like more excited to see. But I know that one I'm gonna be, right there to get my tickets in IMAX for that one. And then Insidious 6. I'm a big fan of the Insidious franchise. I do think that they could have wrapped it up a while back, but if they're going to make another one, hopefully they make it a prequel so we can get Elise back into it. I'm interested to see. I haven't seen anything about the plot or anything like that. So in my actual top five, I have Avengers Doomsday at number 5 because I keep telling people I'm not looking forward to this movie. I'm very intrigued by this movie because of all the moving parts that we have going on. The trailers that have come out for it so far look good. Whether or not they're going to be able to tie everything together in a satisfying way to retcon, obviously, all the Kang stuff remains to be seen. Number 4, Supergirl. Obvious reasons, DCU. I want it to succeed. Millie Alcock looks good. Looks like it's going to be basically a carbon copy of the Woman of Tomorrow comic. I can't wait to see that one. 3, Clayface, just because that one, as I said before, just seems a little bit more out there. And James Gunn has said it's even going to be like a horror movie in the DCU. Very much looking forward to that. Number 2, Spider-Man Brand New Day. I've already talked about that one as well. I'm just looking forward to having a more grounded Spider-Man in the MCU. Hopefully they don't get too carried away with that. And number 1 for me is Michael. Michael Jackson is my favorite artist of all time. I think it's his nephew that's playing him. So just even the teaser I've seen and all the music and everything, it's just gonna be like me when I watch Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man. I'm just gonna be singing along in the theater and having a good time. So yeah, that's my most anticipated movie, and I hope it does well.
Yeah, I remember seeing that trailer come out, and I hope they do that one better justice than, a Bohemian Rhapsody, the Elton John biopic Rocket Man. Those were good movies, but I kind of expected a little bit more. So
But
I
did you see Elvis with
mhm,
Tom Hanks and
with
what's his
Tom
name, Austin
Hanks and
Butler?
yep, I saw that one.
Yeah, I
That
like
was
that one too. That was decent as well.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, like for all the biopics I've seen so far, are like pretty good. So I'm hoping, as you said, they just do him justice with how big of a star he was.
right.
So yep, those are my most anticipated 5.
Cool.
All
What
right,
is I think we're gonna agree on this next bullet.
let's
Uh
see.
Blockbuster of the year slash biggest box office.
Okay. Mine's simple, Doomsday. I think that there's
Yeah.
way too much nostalgia, and I mean, if history is any indicator from last year, all the nostalgia, all the money, it just equates. So they're bringing back literally everybody for this movie. I really don't think that they are even too bothered about the plot, which is what has me worried. But I think it'll make, as I said, $1 trillion. So yeah, Doomsday.
Yeah, I agree with you. Next we got box office flop of the year.
Okay. You want to say yours first?
Yeah, I took quite a bit of time to kind of think of what this could look like. And I couldn't really narrow it down. So I'm going to shout out a couple. For me, Mercy, starring Chris Pratt. I think it's out, or if not, it comes out, I think, this
And it
weekend.
already is having terrible. I think it debuted at 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, like
I'm not
today
shocked.
or yesterday or something.
So that one, I do fear that Scream 7 is going to be a cluster. Masters of the Universe, a live action He-Man doesn't make sense to me.
Who's playing him? I haven't even heard anything about this movie. When is that coming out?
So it comes out in June.
Nothing.
Nicholas Galitzine, maybe I'm butchering that. He played the guy in the dreadful Amazon Idea of You with Anne Hathaway, where like Anne Hathaway is like this mom and this guy's like a singer or a star, like yeah.
No
And
idea.
he's definitely a younger actor, but he's playing He-Man. Jared Leto is playing Skeletor.
Oh, I've
So
heard enough of that. Yep. Hey, that
that's
that's
all you
it.
need to know. Yep.
That's basically like a fucking death certificate to your movie,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Because what a shame is that I really don't think Jared Leto is a bad actor. I really think it's like his agent is like playing pranks on him with his career, like just puts him in movies where it's just I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at my list, I think that one is the most likely to flop. The other two I'd shout out here are The Social Reckoning, which I don't know if it's guaranteed to come out this year or not. It might not be, but that is the sequel to The Social Network. But David Fincher is not returning. What's his name? Jesse Eisenberg is not returning as Mark Zuckerberg. Like everybody's being recast, and it's more of a shift towards like the controversy that Facebook was dealing with a couple years back.
With the Russian bots or whatever.
Yeah. And
Okay.
then the last one I want to touch on is the animated Cat in the Hat. I don't know why this movie is being made.
Forgot
Poor
about that too.
poor Bill Hader has been like ever since like the It movies and like he was in Barry, like
It's a
I
good
don't
show.
think he's been Barry's an excellent show. I don't know what he's been in that like has been good since then. And I'm just like,
Well, it's I mean, and they're obviously paying him a lot, so he's doing it's not like that he's not, not wanting to do it. So, yeah, but that
yeah,
that looks like a terrible movie. I'm not even going to bother with.
yeah, it just looks dreadful. Who knows which one it's gonna be? If I had to nail it to one, I would say Masters of the Universe because I think that IP is just like floating in the water. It's not dead in the water, but it's on its it's on the tree trunk and it's close to falling off the edge.
Yeah, Jared Leto will have something to say about whether it's dead or not in a second.
Oh yeah,
My box office flop is Jumanji 4, another bad run of form for The Rock. The movies beforehand, I think the other two Rock, Kevin Hart led, like Jack Black led ones, they're pretty, from what I understand, like the budget is pretty high, obviously for the big name actors and then all the CGI and all the bombastic stuff they do. So I don't think that anybody's really yearning for another Jumanji movie. So I think that one's going to lose the studio some money and they're going to call it quits there. That's my prediction. So that's my flop for the year.
see, I laughed when you first mentioned Jumanji 4. I didn't think you were serious. I didn't think they were making another one. I
Indeed,
was
they
like,
are.
oh no.
It's coming out later. I think it might be coming out in December. So to make it even worse, Doomsday and Dune Messiah will be around it. Yeah, that's why I said I don't think that one's going to make a ton of money.
Yuck.
Probably very quickly to Netflix or Paramount Plus.
Makes sense.
Alrighty, moving on to Underdog of the Year. What film or TV show, actor, actress, would you say is the Underdog of the Year for you?
So for me, Underdog, I was looking at what overall films are coming out that aren't getting a ton of buzz. And I knew off the bat I kind of wanted to gear towards the horror genre. Because there are a lot of sequels coming out. that I think are getting a ton of buzz. Like, 28 years later just came out and it's a fantastic movie. But we've got The Bride, as you touched on.
Hmm.
I know the Universal's taking another stab at The Mummy.
That
My
looks good. That looks decent.
underdogs of the year, I don't know which one explicitly I'm gonna focus on, but Clayface, I wanna shout out because it's DC's real kind of first attempt at a horror movie, and I don't know how horror-y it's gonna be, but the casting, the writing, everybody they've got signed on has a ton of potential to kinda gear the project in the right direction. The other 2 kinda runner-ups that I am the most excited for, there is a Resident Evil film in development, developed by none other than Zach Kreger, who did Barbarian and Weapons. It seems like it's gonna steer away from the plot of the games, which I can appreciate because anytime anybody tries adapting something that's already been made in the Resident Evil universe, it goes poorly. Look at the movies they've already come out with. So he's kind of making like his own thing set in the universe, just kind of like a love letter to the franchise. And then my next one, which I knew had to be on this list, is Robert Eggers' Werewolf, who directed Nosferatu. He's done The Lighthouse. He did The Northman. Robert Eggers has gone on record and said Werewolf is like the darkest thing he's ever written, but it's got Aaron Taylor Johnson, it's got Lily Rose Depp, and Willem Dafoe is back.
Oh my
So
god, he's great. He was the best
yeah.
part of Nosferatu.
Oh yeah.
He's brilliant.
I'm so excited for that. I wanted to gear in the lean kind of horror hit realm because I think those, as we get closer, those all kind of come out later in the year. I think they'll garner more buzz, but I think they're I would consider them underdogs right now.
Okay. For me, I've already touched on this movie. Underdog is Supergirl. I think that when that first teaser trailer dropped for All About One Day, I saw people talking about it. And, obviously people were bitching, it looks so much like Guardians of the Galaxy. Shut up. Yeah, don't worry about that. It doesn't look like Guardians of the Galaxy. Just because it's set in space, Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't own space. Get over it. So after that, obviously, then the Doomsday stuff started coming out, and everybody switched gears to Doomsday. Nobody's talking about Supergirl anymore. I'm saying that Supergirl is going to be an underdog, a sleeper. I think that movie, I always, going into these types of movies, I predict what my score is going to be. I think that movie is going to be an 8 out of 10 or higher. I hope it doesn't disappoint. So that's my underdog.
Yeah, I could see that.
Let's see. Moving on to director with the most stakes this year. Who do you have?
I have, this one won't surprise anybody, Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune Messiah. I think he can, with his tremendous film repertoire, this trilogy can cement him as an even better director, like up there with the greats. Because, I mean, he's put in a ton of work on other IPs, other properties, other original films. And I think his resume, it's continuing to only get bigger because after Dune Messiah wraps and releases, he is directing the next James Bond film. So
That should be very interesting. I'm interested to see his take on that. For me, it's kind of cheating because it's two, but they come as a package deal. The Russo brothers. I feel as though that while they've had a very, very good resume with superhero films. They've got The Winter Soldier, they got Civil War, they've got Infinity War, Endgame,
mhm.
but people obviously have now begun to say, well, all they have is just, these Marvel movies. They're really not that good at like the other stuff. See our previous
Electric
episode,
State.
Electrics. Yes, exactly. So I think, especially with all of the worry that even some of the most hardcore MCU fans that I've talked to, everybody seems very like, I'm like, very trepidatious about this Doomsday movie. I think the Russo brothers have to somehow pull it off, making sense of all of this, explaining the whole Kang switch or however the MCU is going to do it. And I honestly think that if Doomsday fails, I don't think it'll fail at the box office, but commercially, if it is not rated well and the fans have backlash online, I think that that's also going to just carry over into Secret Wars, and just add more pressure to them. So I think there's a lot of pressure on them to get this right so that their next film will be also up there as well. So that's my pick.
Yeah, no, that's a good take. Shifting to breakout actor slash actress of the year?
Mine, easy. Jafar Jackson playing Michael Jackson in the biopic. Looks good. I haven't really heard the singing yet. I mean, it just sounds like they're just playing like Michael Jackson's tracks and he's probably lip singing. But yeah, I think that that's going to be, if I could compare it, it's going to be kind of our Timothy Chalamet and Marty Supreme type of thing, is what I'm hoping for. I hope he does a great job acting as Michael Jackson. So that's mine.
Is this like what has he acted in anything
Not to my
prior?
knowledge. If
Wow,
it
okay.
is in anything, it's probably very small, but I have never seen him in anything before. So that's why I'd say that, yeah, if he can put in this great performance on this big stage, that'll surely, put a rocket up his ass and he'll be flying in Hollywood in no time. So yeah, that's my pick.
Cool. My pick is none other than Supergirl herself, Millie Alcock. I think that we are just going to see the tip of the iceberg. We have just seen the tip of the iceberg with her. And with Supergirl, we're going to see a whole lot more. She kind of came out of nowhere originally. Like she played Rhaenyra Targaryen, young Rhaenyra in House of the Dragon, but she didn't get a ton of. She was absolutely stellar in her screen time, but with the length of that show, like she only got really 3 episodes to just kind of like display, her acting prowess. And she hasn't really done much else. And, Supergirl is like a shot to see her in a leading role. An honorable mention, I originally had this individual and then flipped it to Supergirl because I am uncertain what this individual has planned for 2026. And I looked at her filmography and I really didn't see much. I was going to say Chase Infinity from, she was in One Battle After Another. She played Willa, the daughter. Looking at her filmography, like she's only been in 2 things and a couple things are filming now. Her first role was in a show called Presumed Innocent on Apple TV. It was a legal thriller with Jake Gyllenhaal. Fantastic. I read the book, I watched the show. It's awesome. But then, yeah, One Battle After Another was her first film role, and she's been nominated, won awards for best actress, things like that. And yeah, like she's a fantastic actress, and I mean, I think she's got plenty more to come, but I just don't know what she's doing for 2026.
Maybe we'll see more of her in 2027. Moving right along, we got franchise revival or final nail in the coffin. What do you got for this one?
This one, I don't know. I could have gone many different directions, and I'm curious to see where you go with it because I don't want to put a square peg in a round hole and be like definitively, this is what's going to kill it or bring it back. I think whatever tries to reboot the vibe of a franchise instead of telling a story is probably ultimately what's going to kill it. And I could touch on my earlier point. I think maybe Masters of the Universe, like this film is going to come out and just make everybody forget about everybody except for Skeletor. And
Mm-hmm. Exactly. For me, I kind of just did both. For me, I think I could see a franchise revival for Scary Movie with this sixth one and the Wayans coming back in to produce and like write the movie this time. Scary movies come out a lot more, like not the actual franchise. I'm talking about
Mhm.
just like the genre. Horror movies come out a lot more, and it's as I mean, last year we had so many great horror films. So I think that because the genre is pumping out movies, it'll also just make for more material for them to parody as long as they want. So yeah, those movies are not necessarily like, oh, they're like 5-star movies and they're going to be Oscar, it's just like a fun comedy movie. So as long as they have material and they can, they can do 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. Final nail for me, Toy Story 5. I think that this movie's got to be it. Like they can't. What I mean, they'll probably make their money and still try and figure out a way to do more. But at some point, you just got to say, come on. Like they're ruining the franchise now. I think that they were almost already ruining it with 4. Honestly, one of the most perfect endings to a trilogy. And then they went ahead and just said, oh, but what about what if? It's always, in my opinion, sometimes it's very good for the audience to just imagine what happens after. We don't always need to, because then every show, every movie would go on forever because
But
you can
yeah,
always tell the next story. But at some point, you got to just stop.
I
So
mean,
I
I
think
I
that's
think
it.
you can say that for Pixar as a whole too. Like Toy Story 5, they're doing Incredibles
Incredibles
3.
3.
Did you know they're making a second Coco?
I don't know how.
I agree.
but I have to rewatch the first one. I liked it, but I don't remember it needing a sequel. But the third Incredibles movie, I'm not so against because, as I said, I don't mind trilogies. And because it is based around a superhero family, it's just like what we're talking about, Marvel and DC. You can always create a new villain as long as the story is interesting and they keep the heart of the original in it, which I
Yeah,
think they kind
that
of did
that
lose
I
a little
agree
bit.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, they lost a little bit in the second one for me. Didn't have as compelling of a villain as Syndrome, obviously. So if they're gonna do it well and they just end it at three and they know, okay, we're gonna just do a trilogy, I'm fine. But if in 3 years' time I'm hearing Incredibles 4 and 5, then I'm like, okay, let's relax. We don't need to see that much. So yeah, those are my franchise revivals and nails in the coffin. That's what I think.
What about a movie that you are irrationally excited for?
Insidious Chapter 6. I touched on it earlier on in the episode. The only reason why I say irrational, it's not irrational for me because of just my love for not just this franchise, but horror in general. But I really didn't like the fifth one, The Red Door, that came out. That was Patrick Wilson directing and starring in with his, the original family from that first one. I really didn't like it that much. For me to be so excited for the next installment really doesn't make any sense. So that's why I went with that for my pick. What about for you?
My pick is totally not gonna shock some people. Dune Messiah, baby. Like it's gonna be
That's very rational.
yeah, but like I think it's falling under the radar more than it is for the vast majority of people.
I think I predict that movie. Unfortunately, although I think it's gonna be better than Doomsday, I think that it being in the same month as Doomsday might hurt it a little bit. Just
It
because I
will.
think that
It
general
will.
families are gonna take their kids to Doomsday rather than Dune, unfortunately, which is a shame.
Well, I mean, I think looking at target audience too, like, I mean, Dune, I would not say the Dune franchise is as kid friendly as the MCU. I think it's more of the sci fi fans, the book fans, the fans of the director and fans of, those sort of scenery. And like coming from somebody who's read the books, I'm excited to see how they handle it. Because as the franchise kind of stretches out, it kind of gets a little wonky a little bit. But I mean, I think Dune Messiah will be affected. I don't think it will be affected as much as the franchise in general has been affected.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
I remember seeing the first one came out during COVID, and, like, it went straight to Max after, like, a couple weeks, and so, like, it didn't really make a ton of money, but, like, it was already greenlit for a sequel, and it was critically acclaimed, and then the sequel comes out swinging, so I just think the 3rd one's gonna take it another step up.
Be good.
What about, what's a movie that you think everyone else will love, but you won't?
I've already repeated this movie so many times, it's becoming like a broken record, but Avengers Doomsday. I really feel like I'm going to. I mean, we have never talked about this on the podcast, but even for Spider Man No Way Home, which I was in the theater having a grand old time when Tobey Maguire came out of the portal. But after watching the movie and I settled down, because it took me like 45 minutes to settle down after that
Settle
movie.
down.
Yeah, exactly. And like the next day came, I kind of realized that it seemed to me that they kind of just put things into place. Like we wanted to have all three of the Spider-Man, and then they kind of reverse engineered the plot from there. Not really that they had a plot that flowed so well into just bringing everybody in. That's kind of how I felt after like really thinking about it. That's kind of how I'm predicting I'll feel with Doomsday. I think that the Russos have something in mind to explain why Doom looks like Tony Stark. It's obviously going to be retconned because obviously in Endgame they never wanted to bring back Captain America. Whatever they tell you, is a part of the plan, bullshit. No, they're retconning, doing the best they can. But I think that explanation, as well as trying to ham fist all of the Avengers meeting for the first time and all of the different universes meeting for the first time, is just going to be too much for me to be like compelled in the plot. So I think everybody will be hooting and hollering, and like all the different people that'll be showing up, Deadpool, Wolverine, everybody's going to be in it. And I'll be like, it was good, a fun time in the theater, but the plot was lacking. That's my prediction. So I think I won't like it as much as others, but we will see.
Yeah, for me, I did list this one in my most anticipated, but I am a little on the pessimistic side. The Super Mario Galaxy movie. Uh, as I stated, I grew up playing the games. I was a fan of the Super Mario movie, but I don't think it was as good as it could have been. It was a good movie, but it wasn't anything to write home about. My hope and expectation is that this one will be a step above based on kind of what direction they're heading in. But I don't know that for sure. And I could totally see everybody being on board with it because, it brings in, based on the trailer, like Bowser Jr. is in
Mhm.
it.
Rosalina.
Rosalina's in it. I don't think they've shown him yet, but he's going to be in it. Yoshi.
Yeah, they teased.
Yoshi's a fan favorite. Yep. My fear is that everybody's gonna see the flashing color. It's gonna be, in space. Super Mario Galaxy. They're gonna be introducing all these new concepts, and I think the general audience will enjoy it. As a loyalist to the original story and fan of the games, I mean, I've been playing Mario since I was like 6 years old. So I think for the gamer slash like knowledgeable audience, I wouldn't be shocked if they are underwhelmed. And
Okay.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that movie looks like it's gonna be a ton of fun. So, oh my god, I just realized they haven't announced who's gonna play Yoshi. It's gonna be Aquafina, isn't it? I just realized that.
Your favorite.
Oh my gosh, that'll just ruin everything.
I
We
will
haven't seen her in
say
a while. I
I
don't
will
think I've
say
seen her
with the
since
casting, like, I'm surprised who they picked. Did you saw who they cast for Bowser
Bowser
Jr., right?
Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what's the name of the director?
Benny Safdie.
Yeah, they got him, but he sounded pretty good to me. And
Yeah,
then
I
I like
mean,
the Brie Larson as Rosalina. I think that's fine
that
too.
that one I'm good with.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people are, hoping that, like, I know a wild rumor flying around is that people hope Samuel L. Jackson voices
I'll play
Yoshi.
Yoshi.
Yeah,
That would be good. That would be funny.
that would be funny.
Hopefully they don't make it like Kevin Hart or something stupid.
Gosh.
Yeah,
The Rock.
so that would also not work. You want to do one final bold prediction before we get into the Primate review?
Sure. My bold, but I ultimately think not so bold, is that I think the best movie of 2026 will not be a superhero movie or come anywhere close to a superhero genre.
Is it going to be Dune? Is that what you think, or Odyssey?
That this
You haven't really thought
early,
about it.
I don't know because spoiler alert if you have not watched our 2025 ranked. Um, Looking at 2025, but also kind of looking back since started keeping track of this, going back a couple years. My top film of 25 was Sinners, and my top film of 24 was Dune. I'm really hoping, like, I wouldn't be mad if Dune is in my top spot, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it'll probably be in the top five. But I would be shocked to see Dune movies back to back number one spots in two, off
Two
and on
different
years.
years.
Yeah. Like looking back at, kind of how I've fared films over the past couple years, it tends to be a different sort of theme and concept over, X amount of years. Like Oppenheimer was probably my favorite film in 23. And I mean that's a Nolan
Hmm.
movie, so like it'll be tough, whether it is the Odyssey or Dune or like I wish Jordan Peele was coming out with something this year because I feel like that could be
He's still
something.
recovering from not getting weapons, man. He's got to
I
recuperate.
mean, I don't blame him for that, but
Imagine what he could have done with that movie. That would have been
oh my
something.
gosh, yeah, that would have been
At least
tremendous,
the Peel cut.
literally.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know what the best film will be. I don't want to call a shot out and
Yeah, no,
it's
no,
gonna
no. It's too
be
early.
it's gonna be like The Smashing Machine or Electric State or something that just completely underwhelms me.
No. My final bold prediction is that 2025 will have better movies than the ones that are coming out this year. I think last year, as we stated in our last episode, at least for me, and I think you agreed as well, that last year had a lot more great to excellent movies than in previous years, at least for me. And I don't see this year getting to the heights that last year got, in my opinion. But I could be proved wrong, but I really was impressed with the stuff that came out last year. And while I am excited for a few things this year, like a handful of things, I just don't see it being to that caliber.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, like, looking back at my using 24 as a point of reference,
Hmm.
comparing to 25, my favorite movie in 24 was Dune Part 2, and then second favorite was Anora. Now, I will say with this with 2025, my top 4 nah, top 3 are all below Dune, but better than anything that came out after Dune, or I guess with Dune in 24. So they are a step down, but I think looking at my top 10 or whatever, I think within that top 10, I prefer those 10 movies as a group as compared to the 24 movies. So, yeah, I don't think that's a bold prediction at all.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Anything else before we jump into the primate review?
No, I'm all good. I mean, I'm fully expecting people to listen to this, and I'm gonna get cooked for it online. It's like my number one isn't what film Twitter wants, so I wouldn't be shocked to get cooked.
What does film Twitter want anyway? Who knows? And who cares?
Good point. It's gonna be all these tweets from discuss.
Exactly. That's all the stuff that we keep on getting on our timeline. All right, moving into Primate, I'm gonna be honest, I don't have a ton of notes on this movie. To me, I felt like watching this trailer, I was like, this movie looks like it's gonna be pretty cheesy. I'm happy to say that it was better than I thought it was gonna be. However, it's still not good. And I think that this movie was as down the middle of a movie as you can get. What were your thoughts heading into it? I don't want to spoil too much for our what worked and what didn't. So go on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it wasn't super on my radar, but when the first, week and a half of 26 was rolling around, I was like, what's coming out? What do I want to see? What can I go see? And it had an interesting concept, and I was like, I will probably check it out. I did not have high expectations. It was better than I thought it would have been, but for me, it do have some notes. I probably have more notes than you, but yeah, we can dive into our thoughts. I will say, like, I did like some parts. I did not like some parts. So I mean, it's really ultimately going to depend.
Okay. I'll start off with what worked for me because it's really the only note that I have. I thought that the makeup for I actually found this, I had to look it up after. The makeup for the actor who was underneath the monkey who played Ben, I thought like his, in all of the Planet of the Apes movies they do CGI and everything like that. This was just makeup and like prosthetics, and they actually like the makeup crew constructed this monkey suit from what I can understand, and I thought that looked phenomenal. I think that the actor who was like standing in acting like a chimp was great as well. That's kind of where the positives for me in this movie end. I think that like just the look of that was very interesting. It has its gory parts to it. It is, as you can imagine, when if you just watch the trailer, it's monkey going loose on a bunch of like teens to 20-year-olds. You can't expect absolute cinema from that. So there's very over the top, gore and whatnot, as I said, as you would expect. But I felt that the movie, and I'll get your thoughts on it. I felt like the movie could have at least subverted expectations and made the plot a little bit more interesting. However, the plot just was as simple as this family has a monkey. The mom like passed away, and she was doing linguistics with animals and was using this monkey. And then the family obviously sees the monkey as a part of the family. The monkey gets bitten by a random, what was it, ferret or mongoose,
Hmm.
gives it rabies, and it just goes berserk on everybody. There's no real theme or
It goes
anything.
ape shit.
Literally, it does that, and it just like kind of attacks the friends that are brought there for the weekend. It's like all these whole little things. And yeah, as I said, like it didn't have like an ending where I was like, oh wow, like that was an interesting take, or like, like a commentary on like, like cruelty of animals. They could have gone a bunch of different ways that I was just like thinking in the theater, and they just didn't. They just, as I said, played it right down the middle. So, in all honesty, I will let you go on your talk for the notes you have, because that's basically everything I have for this movie, good and bad. So,
Wow.
what
Okay.
worked? Yeah, what
Yeah.
worked and didn't for you?
So I do have, surprisingly enough, even though my score for this is, I do have a lot more worked than didn't work.
Okay.
For me, the first thing I want to touch on is just the strong visual craft from the film.
Mhm.
I will say that the movie is well shot, like, the camera work is really confident, and there's a very clear sense of visual control. Even if the story isn't for everyone, it does look polished and intentional for what they wanted to execute. And I personally had it as a positive. I wasn't expecting to have it as a positive, but just leaning into the full commitment to absurdity. Primate does lean hard into the ridiculousness of its premise, and I do think that is the right call. I think the film understands what it is, and it doesn't try to play things straight when it shouldn't. I thought that kind of self-awareness made the experience more entertaining than it might otherwise be. But leading into my next point, I think it makes sense for this to be kind of like an early year film because otherwise, like January releases are kind of notorious for not really being anything special. And I think it had a very effective, early year horror energy. And this is exactly the kind of weird, aggressive horror swing that works well early in the year because people are still coming in and who knows what's gonna be good, who knows what's gonna be bad. But this one, it's bold, it's loud, it's very attention grabbing, and I do think it is the kind of movie that sparks like a word of mouth transition among, fans of the genre. And diving in a little bit more to the genre, I do think it will find its appeal to horror and gore fans because as you mentioned, fans of anything gore heavy or over the top horror will likely enjoy this quite a bit. There's enough chaos and brutality to kind of make it feel like a fun genre entry rather than just a throwaway release, let's get it out. And lastly, I will say I did find it entertaining despite my personal taste. I mean, it's even if it's not your thing or my thing or anything, I will say the movie is entertaining enough to keep the audience engaged. And I think that says something about its execution, even when the subject matter doesn't fully click. So those are my positives. I think it did a decent job with what it was given. Ultimately, what didn't work for me, I do think it does have an extremely niche appeal. I do think this movie is very much in its own lane. And yeah, if you're not at the absurd gory horror, like it's probably not going to win you over. And then kind of tapping into the story a little bit, there's a really limited depth beyond the premise of it. I mean, once you accept the central idea of the story, that there isn't much else underneath it. The film just relies, heavily on shock, spectacle, and tone rather than a deeper storytelling. So I do think mileage will vary. I mean, your enjoyment is almost entirely dependent on your tolerance for gore and absurdity. And I mean, ultimately, for some viewers, that is a feature, but for others, it might be a deal breaker. So
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly, like, in the beginning when you said, like, I went to see this movie because of what's coming out. That's very much the vibe of the movie. Like, I wouldn't tell you to run to the theater, especially if you don't have, like, an unlimited pass or something. Like,
mhm,
spending, like, 20 bucks for this movie is not worth it, in my opinion.
no,
And then, yeah, like, I feel like that's also gonna be the legacy of this movie when it comes out on streaming. People are gonna be at, like, a party, having a movie night. They'll probably be like, "Ah, what's on? I'm bored. Let me just put on something." And it's that kind of movie. Yeah, to me, it just lacked any type of substance or trying to say anything. It's literally like, you see the trailer, a monkey's going completely, mind the pun, bananas on these people, and that's basically it. If you saw the trailer and you're like, "That's for me," you'll enjoy this movie. And that's all I can really say to put a positive spin on.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's really this movie in a nutshell.
Yeah, so you wanna jump right into, ratings and final thoughts then?
Yeah, let's dive
Pull up
in.
my rating real quick.
I
Alright,
do
what
I
did
do wonder how similar or different we are. I'm sure
okay,
I'm sure we're on the same path.
I gave this a 5.5 out of 10.
So close. I gave it a
Let's hear it.
5.8. Five point
Oof,
eight out of 10.
I'm waiting for the day for you and I to be exactly on the money.
It's we have been close.
Well,
We have been
funny
close.
enough, so here's how I'm doing it. So let me actually tell you a funny thing. So I calculate, I think I've explained this in many like episodes like months ago, that I calculated I have like my 10 categories that I look for in a movie, and I calculate of each one of them a scale 1 through 10. Then I get my overall thing. But instead of doing like, I was messing around last year with like, percentage, like giving it a 63% or
Mhm.
74%. I've just decided to just go clean cut, like it's 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, just round to those.
Round to the nearest half. Okay.
But if I wasn't doing that, my score literally came out to a 5.6 out of 10 But to me, that's in my new scale of me doing this now is 5.5. It didn't quite hit the six. So we're a lot closer technically, but I'm giving it a 5.5. And I think on Letterbox I gave it like 2.5 stars.
That was what I gave it as well, 2.5 stars.
As I said, it's definitely not the worst thing you'll probably see this year, but yeah, like it's a
It's not the
monkey
worst
killing
thing
people.
I've seen so far. The year has already started, and I've seen 9 movies.
Let me check here. Actually, let me see. Where would this be in my? So this is. So yeah, just for context, this movie would be out of my bottom 10 from last year. It wouldn't even be in my bottom 10.
Wow, okay.
Everything else I had in my bottom 10 was below this. So it's already the new year is off to a better start, I guess you could say.
I can't relate. My bottom 10.
Oh yeah, your bottom 10 had like point twos and whatnot. So, um,
Of the 9 movies I have seen thus far this year, it's smack dab in the middle at number 5.
where do you find the time? And not even just the time, but also I haven't like see it's just like what you said, like you're looking like, oh, I have time to watch a movie. What's even coming out? I don't see that a lot. Like, I mean, yeah, the Bone Temple movie's out and then Primate. I'll probably end up seeing the Bone Temple like maybe next week. But there's not a ton of movies like or I felt last year, like every week there was something and I'm like, oh man, I'm missing this and I'm behind. Now this
Yeah.
this year I'm like I'm not like as like I need to run to the movie and see this. But hopefully I
I
know
think
as
I
the
think
summer
we'll get
picks up.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, when like the summer, like May and stuff like that, towards the end of the year, I think it'll be like that. But so far, I think the next movie that I'm really like, oh, I really want to see is like next month's Wuthering Heights. I'll be seeing that like on Valentine's Day weekend. And then after that, we've got, as I mentioned before, Project Hail Mary, I'm looking forward to. So I didn't see a ton of stuff in January that I was like, oh my God. So I've actually been spending a lot of time seeing movies from 2025 I didn't get a chance to see when I have the time. So, but yeah, that's basically my final thoughts on Primate. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you want a bottom line up front, just kind of explanation. I mean, it's a well shot, absurd, horror swing that it definitely knows its audience, but it's not subtle, it's not refined, and definitely not for everyone. But I do think for horror and gore fans, it is a fun way to kick off the year. And yeah, I mean, even if it's not in your lane, it's entertaining enough to avoid just outright hate. So not
Yeah.
bad, not great.
To your credit, it is an entertaining movie. If you're just, I mean, it has the tension.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah, I think you put a bow on it perfectly. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode then. Thanks you once again for joining us. We will discuss what we'll do in the next episode because as I said, I haven't been watching a ton of movies, so more than likely our next episode will have more of probably just Matt reviewing something that he's seen and wants to talk about and then we can just bounce ideas off each other, but we will put that on a social media beforehand to let you guys know. Anything else you wanted to say?
No, I am all good.
All right, man. Well, then we will catch you all in the next one. And thanks again for listening.
Thanks, everybody.